That is what the scientific community is telling us in a virtually unanimous voice. The latest report from the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, is very clear, and it is very foreboding. If the United States, China, Russia, and the rest of the world do not act extremely aggressively.
Last week, Nancy Pelosi changed her position just before Biden announced his student loan relief plan and said she made her initial statement because they didn't know what authority the president had to do this. Biden had been hesitant about whether he could cancel student loan debt, and the Education Department said he had the authority to cancel debt falls under the HEROES Act of 2003, giving the Education Secretary authority to waive or change student debt balances if there is a national emergency. Now, the IRS is also providing refunds to some 1.6 million taxpayers who missed the tax filing deadline during the early days of the crisis. And typically, the IRS penalizes people who file their taxes late without an extension, up to 25% of the amount they owe. The tax agency announced last week, however, it was waiving penalties for taxes filed late for the years of 2019 and 2020. People who have already paid the penalty will receive an automatic refund, according to the IRS. The average refund will be $750 per person, totaling some $1 billion. There is a deadline also to qualify for the penalty refund. Individuals who not filed yet returns for the years 2019 or 2020 must do so by September 30th, and most refunds will be sent out by the end of September. In addition, everybody, big news. There is finally more stimulus money coming to low-income households across the country. Lawmakers have revealed their new timeline for when Americans can expect to receive a fourth stimulus check. These bonus payments, which can be worth up to $2,000, are thanks to huge budget surpluses this year. And stoked by the largest surplus in state history, Missouri's Republican-led legislature devised a $500 million plan to send one-time tax refund checks to millions of households. The governor vetoed it, and the governor's objection is that he wants a bigger, long-lasting tax cut. Now is the time for the largest income tax cut in our state history. That's what he declared as he called lawmakers back for a special September session to consider a $700 million permanent tax reduction. Upon its likely approval, Missouri will join at least 32 states that already have enacted some type of tax or rebate this year. An outstanding outpouring of billions of dollars going back to the people. Idaho lawmakers, everybody, are convening this week to consider more tax breaks. In Montana, lawmakers are also weighing a special session for tax relief.
In cutting carbon emissions, our planet will face enormous and irreversible damage. In fact, the world that we will be leaving to our kids and to future generations will become increasingly unhealthy and uninhabitable. That's not Bernie Sanders. That is the virtual unanimous conclusion of the scientists who study this issue. But the truth is, we don't need the scientists or another study to tell us what's happening. We see it with our own eyes here in the United States and all over the world. The American people today and people throughout the globe are seeing the devastating impact climate change is having on their communities and their families with their own eyes. That is what they are seeing right now as I speak. And please understand, maybe the most important point I want to make this morning is that everything being equal, what is happening right now will become worse and worse and worse. This is not, oh boy, we had a torrential rain. Oh boy, ain't it hot? Everything being equal, what we are seeing today will become worse in years to come. Let's just take a brief look at what's happening right now in the United States and around the world. The past 8 years have
committee retiring. We're going to miss him. My good friend from Michigan, Fred Upton.
The gentleman's recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Does anyone actually believe that this bill is going to reduce inflation? I didn't think so. Those of us that know me know that I'm not afraid to work across the aisle on important legislation that helps Americans. Whether it was the 21st Century Cures Act, the CHIPS Act, the PAC Veterans Act.
On Thursday from nearly 115 last week. This is considerably down on the 13-year high of close of $440 a barrel that was briefly reached in March. Another factor adding to lower prices is low demand, which the AAA said took the pressure off pump prices. But this low could end with the start of the summer driving season. AAA spokesperson Andrew Gross said in a statement, July is typically the heaviest month for demand as more Americans hit the road, so this trend of easing prices could be short-lived. But with gas prices continuing to stay at a high price, a group of lawmakers in one state want to give residents some relief at the pump. A group of people in North Carolina, the senators, are giving and proposing every licensed adult in North Carolina a one-time payment of $200. To qualify, the person must be a licensed driver residing in North Carolina and be at least 18 as of March 31st. The North Carolina measure, the Gas Tax Rebate Act of 2022, will be funded by spending $1.3 billion of the roughly $4.2 billion in surplus revenue collected by the state. The state senator Michael Garrett warned the bill's co-sponsors recently to reporters. Our proposal provides every North Carolina driver a $200 gas tax rebate, roughly what the person in North Carolina would pay in state gas tax from July to December. The approach keeps the Highway Fund and Highway Trust Fund whole, while still collecting revenue from non-residents passing through our state using our roads, highways, and bridges. If passed, the bill will become effective by this month, and rebates will be sent by October 1st. It's good to see that action is being taken and more relief is going out. Under the directive of Governor Tim Walz, the U.S. state of Minnesota will offer eligible frontline workers a payment of $750 after signing a $500 million agreement. Governor Walz said in a statement, Minnesota continues to show the country that despite our differences and disagreements, a divided legislature can come together to get things done for the people of our state. Applications for the program open on June 8th and will stay open until July 2022, and will stay open until later this year. And so far, 9,000 applications have been received, with Walz stating that the final volume could be low due to the volume of applicants.
We concluded a historic deal that to transform a flashpoint at the heart of the Middle East wars into an area of peace. International peacekeepers, including U.S. troops, will leave Tiran Island in the Red Sea, where they've been for over 40 years since the Camp David Accords. 5 American soldiers died on this strategically located island in 2020, and it's important to remember them today. Now, thanks to this breakthrough, this island will be open to tourism and economic development while retaining all necessary security arrangements and the present freedom of navigation of all parties, including Israel. Third, we agreed to work together to deepen and extend the Yemen ceasefire. And you know there's carnage been in Yemen late. And it's been in place more than 3 months, resulting in the most peaceful period in Yemen in 7 years. We further agreed to pursue a diplomatic process to achieve a wider settlement in Yemen. The Saudi leadership also committed to continue to facilitate the delivery of food and humanitarian goods to civilians. In this context, we discussed Saudi Arabia's security needs to defend the kingdom, given very real threats from Iran and Iran's proxy.